nickel, dime, quarter, let's learn. Penny, nickel, dime, quarter, let's learn.
KUSI News Live Weather Cam is brought to you by Lexus Escondido, where we make car shopping a breeze.
Money in my pocket. Money, I know how to count it.
Perfect song for this next segment that because we are talking about the stock market and what has happened over the last couple of months due to COVID-19. And this morning we're going to have a conversation with Brent Wilsey from Wilsey Asset Management, who is always in the know on whether it's a safe time to invest, what's happening today. Good morning to you, Brent.
Good morning, Liz. How you doing?
Good. I'm doing well.
Good.
What do you think right now? Where do things stand, first of all?
Well, let me talk a little bit here because, again, it's been a couple of months, almost a couple of months now since we had the low on the Dow, fell about 37%. It's now rebounded 27%, and people saying, oh my gosh, I missed it. It's going to go back down again, so I better be careful here. I don't want to invest now. There is something in the finance world called recency bias, and it's actually a financial term. And what it is, emotionally, people always think that because it happened before, it's going to happen again. And that's not the case here. It wasn't the case in 2009 as well. But it really is hard to overcome that emotion because we think because the Dow was down 37% before, it's going to go back down there.
That's interesting. Recency bias. Mm-hmm. I've heard of having a consistency bias. This is slightly different, though, as it relates to the stock market. Very interesting. So, the Fed and the federal government now open, right? I mean, things are in play, obviously.
Yeah, the federal government is open to say, look, we're not going to let this be another 2008. We're not going to let this be another Great Depression. We have trillions of dollars that we will put out there for people. And I won't get into now that what's going to happen down the road, but we're talking about investing now. Because if we do start to slip back, then the government will say, okay, we're going to send out another $1 trillion. Some way, somehow, they're going to do that. And also, too, we can't forget about the Federal Reserve. They're saying we have plenty of money for you to borrow if you want to borrow that. And also for your bigger companies, your investment companies, the capital markets where they go and borrow, that is open as well. So this is not like 2008, 2009 where the banks were closed, no one getting any money, liquidity was out there. We have a lot of money. Businesses can do very well. We need to reopen the economy, but businesses are ready financially to do that, and so is the government to push us on through.
And I think that's an important point that you're making, is that for all of us not to think that this is like what happened in 2008 or 2009, because it's not, clearly. It's not, right. You're right, especially with capital markets. But what about individual investors, Brett?
Sure, and what we have to look at is that, and again, I want people to kind of look back at 2009. The first half of 2009, not much really happened. It was the second half where companies that didn't do that well, they performed extremely well in the second half of the year. So don't look at the ones that held up well during this downturn. Look at the companies that got beaten up quite a bit. Now, if you're in a 401k, you can't buy many times individual companies. Look for a good value fund, because that's what they do. They look for the value. So don't be chasing the high flyers. If you want to make a lot of money going forward, which we did back in 2009, we bought the ones that got beaten up the most. And it was amazing. A year, 2 years down the road, like, wow, look how much money I made off of that by buying a good business or investing in a good value fund in my 401k by buying companies that didn't do so well during the downturn.
What about, Brent, some of those like biotech experts who understand like both the science and investing, and some of them are skeptical about the stock market's strength right now. What do you say about that?
Well, you always have the skeptics, and again, 2009, I also did this in 2000, 2001, 2002, 9/11, and so forth. Everyone's going to be skeptical, but you have to look at what is going to happen to businesses. And I believe in the America going forward. I think we've been beaten up before. We will get through this, but you've got to find the good companies that are going to invest. And right now, the things that you're going to invest in will be like, oh my gosh, do I want to invest in restaurants? Do I want to invest in travel companies and energy companies? These are the ones that have been beaten up the most. Those are the ones every single time do come back. Now, don't go too far to the extreme and get companies that are like $1 share and have tons of debt. Can't do that. But look for, there's some very good airlines, for instance, out there that will rebound because their balance sheet, they don't have a lot of debt. I've seen some great value funds out there for the 401ks. Hopefully your 401k does have that value fund in it that will do well. So, and we also have to think too, Liz, that when you're buying, and I'm looking saying, look down the road 6, 9 months. When we get to be 6, 9 months down the road, the market is forward looking. The market at that point will be looking down the road another 6 to 9 months. So we're actually buying today of what it's going to be like in the summer of 2021.
So you're saying, yeah, look down the road, 6 to 12 months from where we're at right now. You know, I have a neighbor, Brent, who doesn't know anything about the stock market, and she's trying to learn and study up on, well, you know, so this is like the perfect segment for her. Hopefully you're watching, Caroline. But, you know, is $3,000, if you happen to have $3,000 to invest, is that a good starting point?
If that's what you have, Liz, yes, it is a good starting point. But again, look for that value fund. It's not going to cost you anything. Be careful of somebody trying to sell you something. But, you know, do some research. Look for a good value fund and look at what's invested in there. Because there's some value funds, they call themselves value funds, but they are really not. They actually hold, you know, high expensive stocks and so forth. You got to do a little bit of research and understand, I don't want to buy the expensive companies. Again, look for the airlines, look for travel companies, look for you know, restaurants, ones that have been beaten up quite a bit. That's where the value is. And if you get a good value fund, that's where they can put that $3,000. And again, don't look at it next week, next month. Say, I'm going to look at this December 31st. How did I do? Oh, I did pretty good. Then I look a year from that after that. So don't look at your stuff day to day. It's going to drive you crazy.
Yeah.
Your emotions will get up and going. And listen, that's, again, why we do our webinars, you know, on a monthly basis for people.
Yeah, to remind folks. Yeah, don't, you know, if there's no need to look at, you know, what your money, where your money is, if it's still there, has it grown or has it gone away? Just wait. Wait until several months down the road. Yeah. Brent, great to see you. Thank you so much. Anything exciting happening today for you? Any big plans?
Not for today, but again, I do want to point out that this Thursday is our webinar. It runs all day till midnight. It is free, and they can go to our website, smartinvesting2000.com. Again, free webinar, talks all about investing, what not to do, and what also to do.
Oh, that's great. All right. A late night webinar. Very good. All right, Brent, thank you so much. Great to see you.
You're welcome,
Have a good one. Have you ever wondered how to start a podcast? After the break, Owen Video will be going over some critical steps. There he is standing by. Oh, it's going to be a great conversation. Grab a piece of paper, a pencil, a pen, or just tune in and watch it on replay. We'll be right back.
Coming now for the money.